Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Around the Big Ten podcast. I'm Mark Givler, joined by Chip Minnick as always. We are continuing our 2025 looks at every Big Ten team's schedule. We got some good ones today. We got some interesting schedules today for some teams who, are hoping to have big seasons, and we'll see if the schedules will allow it. We're going to do the Wisconsin Badgers here today. Chip, we've talked about Luke Fickell a lot here. We like Luke personally. We want him to do well at Wisconsin. It hasn't gone very well so far. And here we are with their schedule. And gosh, that doesn't look like a great schedule for someone who really needs to have a really good season this year. That's a tough one.
I think you summarized it best before we started recording when you kind of said, "Oh, Luke," and I say that with all politeness and sincerity towards Luke Fickell, because I do have tremendous respect for the job that he did when he was an Ohio State assistant, for the job he did at Cincinnati. We've talked about it, Mark, about the self-inflicted mistakes that he made early in his tenure at Wisconsin. This schedule this would be a difficult schedule for an established head coach at Wisconsin. I look at it, and quite frankly, if Luke Fickell in Wisconsin can be bowl eligible after this schedule, I will be tremendously surprised. I know that's not going to get me any favorite fan favorite awards from any Wisconsin fans, and I understand that. But you look at that and you tell me where Wisconsin's going to be a clear favorite besides maybe like the first two games of the season.
Yeah, this is pretty brutal. That October stretch is a monster. At Michigan, home Iowa, home Ohio State, at Oregon with no bye weeks. They get a bye before that stretch and a bye after that stretch, but nothing to break that 4-game stretch up. And then you finish, Washington at home, an improved Washington team, at Indiana, who's going to be, again, probably maybe not as good as last year, who knows, but still pretty competitive. Home against a very good Illinois team, and then at Minnesota, who, seems to, have a nice team coming back as well, and a big rivalry game. So they have to start 3-1. I don't think they're going to beat Alabama on the road. But they have to start 3-1, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, Miami of Ohio, say what you will about the MAC, and I looked it up prior to us recording. The last time that they met was back in 2015, and Wisconsin had no problem handling Miami of Ohio. But the thing that I would point out is that was a different Wisconsin team. It was a different Miami team. And I think Wisconsin will win that game. For the record, I'd be surprised. That would be cataclysmic for Luke Fickell to lose that game, especially it's a Thursday night game. It's going to be an opportunity for him to try to showcase the college football world on, let's just call it opening weekend. I realize week 0 is the previous weekend, but like the true official kickoff weekend for Wisconsin to get off on the right foot. But absolutely, they have to start 3-1, or the critics will just be out howling with the torches and the pitchforks in Madison.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think they'll beat Maryland. I think they'll win those first, two games. I don't think they're going to beat Alabama, but I don't think anyone expects them to. So I think, if you're off to a 3-1 start, I think you're fine. But then it gets crazy. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but are they going to be underdogs in their last 8 games?
It's entirely possible. When you look at the fact that they have to go, like you said, they have a bye week at the end of September, but like October is just so brutal. They go on the road to Ann Arbor, so they'll be an underdog there. I'm just going to sit here and say it's a toss-up, but I would think that Iowa would probably be the favorite going into that game on October 11th, even though the game's in Camp Randall. They're going to be an underdog against Ohio State, and they're certainly going to be an underdog at Oregon. And then, like you said,
maybe Washington. They're a small favorite,
maybe, but they're not going to be favored against Illinois, and no. that's just my opinion. I don't want to get you.
No, I would agree.
But I just think that's going to be feeling like the knife is just being twisted, because to be at home against Brett Bielema, against a traditional Big Ten rival coming in. I just think that it's, if anything, the intensive spotlight on Luke Fickell is going to be there. They might be fighting for bowl eligibility those last 2 games.
Yeah, and like even the Washington game, I'm like, I want to say they'll be a small favorite there, but if they lose all those October games and they come into that game 3-5, they're probably not going to be a favorite in that game. I mean, I don't know. Boy, so here's the next. We got to find 3 wins.
Yep.
After the Maryland game. Okay. So we're going to give them 3-1.
Okay.
We got to find 3. We got to get these guys to a bowl game. We got to find 3 wins. Where are they?
All right. I'll go out on a limb and say that they beat Iowa. So there's one. Since you brought it up, I'll say Washington has some jet lag travel issues. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I mean, it wouldn't be far fetched. Let's say that they pull that one out because it is at home. It's in November. And you know something, I'm just going to say that maybe when they go on the road to Indiana, they've got enough, whatever gas is left in the tank, maybe they can pull off the upset at Memorial Stadium November 15th. But I don't see them beating Illinois at home. I don't see them beating Minnesota on the road.
Yeah, like it's hard to imagine losing every game in October, but I'm certain I'm not. I can't pick them at Michigan. I can't pick them at Oregon. I can't pick them against Ohio State. Yeah,
and that's homecoming too. That's homecoming. I mean, looking at that too.
They could beat Iowa, but even that game, like that's not a good spot in the schedule. Like you're getting them in between Michigan and Ohio State. Like
correct.
I mean. Yeah, like Iowa, you get the bye before Washington, and then Washington has to fly across country. We've seen that be an issue for teams in this new Big Ten. Is the cross country games have been an issue for the road teams. And then like I'm with you. I think Indiana might be a more winnable game than Illinois and Minnesota.
Here's something that crossed my mind, and I'm thinking you might have a similar mindset. Is just looking at that schedule, the fact that, okay, they go on the road to Michigan. And let's just say, hypothetically, I mean, and again, because, we haven't really discussed the Michigan schedule yet. We both, I think you would agree with me, no matter who Michigan trots out at quarterback, that Michigan, their style of play is going to be, we're going to run the ball. It's going to be a physical affair. It's going to be the kind of game that is going to be grueling in the sense that, okay, no matter how you come out of that, win or lose, you're just going to be kind of physically depleted. So that's why I think that Iowa game is looming very large. Like, okay, they might be beat up from not only going on the road, but possibly, the kind of game plan that I think you would agree with me that Michigan would probably deploy against them is going to be something that's going to leave them, just kind of depleted.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the schedule for them. Like, I just do. Even I think some of the more winnable games are not being played at opportune times.
Mm-hmm.
As you pointed out, again, sandwiching Iowa in there between Ohio State and Michigan is brutal. I do like, as much as I think Washington's improved, and I've kind of talked them up as maybe a sneaky, 8 or 9 win team this year. I do think that's one that's maybe a good time coming off a bye, getting to reset a little bit, and then having Washington fly across the country. Maybe that is of some help. And look, like Indiana, Illinois, and Minnesota, to me, they're all like winnable. Like it's not like they can't win those games, but they're not going to be favored. I don't think they're going to be favored in any of them. But I tend to think they steal one of them. But I don't know. This is I'm looking at this and I'm just like gun to your head, Chip, bowl eligible or not when the dust settles.
Oh, you love putting that gun to my head on
I
camera
sure
here.
do.
All right. I'm gonna say no. I'm not taking any happiness in that. I'm gonna say I feel with the gun to my head, so to speak, I feel a heck of a lot more comfortable saying 5-7. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Obviously, I'm hoping because again, the respect for Luke Fickell is there, but I'm seeing more 5-7 than 6-6, and that's not going to make Wisconsin fans happy because they're already starting to be disgruntled naturally about kind of the loss of the program's stature over the last few years. But I just can't. As I said a few moments ago, I think I would make the same statement that this is a tough schedule for a Barry Alvarez, a Brett Bielema, a Paul Christ to navigate, let alone a Luke Fickell who is bringing in a brand new offensive coordinator. I know that they're excited about what they perceive to be stability at quarterback with Billy Edwards Jr. Let's not ignore the fact that, injuries do happen. Things happen, and it's not something that you want, but it's something that you have to just kind of acknowledge in the back of your mind. Hey, all it takes is an injury to a key position at quarterback, at offensive line, at whatever kind of skill position, and all of a sudden that offense that has been struggling to kind of gain some kind of semblance of cohesion, now you're back to square one. So I feel a lot more comfortable saying 5-7 and sitting at home, and Wisconsin fans really kind of starting to turn on Luke. I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Yeah, I would have to go under 6 as well. I don't see where 6 wins are coming from. I think maybe I shouldn't say it. There's a best case scenario there where 6 wins are coming, but I think 5-7's the likely number. Again, I'll give them 3 of the first 4, and then, like I said, even if they're underdogs the last 8, they're not going to lose the last 8. Like, that's not going to happen. But so they'll pick off, I think, maybe 2 of those teams. But I just don't think he's got the horses right now. I don't see the horses on either side of the ball. They've kind of always been able to hang their hat on like great defense and maybe like one elite guy on offense, whether it's a running back or like a Lee Evans or they've always had that. I don't see it here. I think as we've kind of talked about before, this feels like a team that's more in like the beginning of a retooling, even though it's year 3 and it probably should be further along than it is. If this doesn't feel like a team that's like over the hump yet. So I would go under 6. Okay, so let's play the worst case scenario game, Chip. Best case scenario, worst case scenario for this Wisconsin team.
Okay, I'd say best case scenario. Just looking at that, man, I'm gonna say that they have some miracles in them besides starting out 3-1. I'm gonna say 5-6. I'm gonna say 8 wins. Best case scenario. I mean, best case scenario, because with that, I'm giving them the 3 wins that we've talked about previously. Losing at Alabama, I have them pulling off an upset at Michigan, defeating Iowa, but I don't see them beating Ohio State, Oregon. I don't see them defeating Illinois. So that's kind of where I'm coming up with the 4 losses. That's my best case. I think the worst case scenario is, we've already talked about it, the fact that, they start out 3-1 and then proceed to lose every Big Ten game, which I don't see happening. I think it is far more likely that they're going to be closer to that 5-7 that you and I have discussed previously.
Yeah, my range is a little smaller. I think the worst case scenario is 4-8. That's probably still starting 3-1. Man, it's hard for me to imagine them not starting 3-1, but like that's starting 3-1, and then like you either just get hammered in October and you're able to like rally the troops against Washington or Indiana or something, Or you could even have it in a way where they go 3-1, they start 3-1, lose to Michigan. Maybe they get Iowa at home, and then maybe just like back-to-backs against Oregon and Ohio State, you just kind of bludgeon them into submission and they just kind of limp to the finish. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I think it's at least in play, especially if they don't stay healthy. It's not a team to me that has like a ton of depth right now. I don't think he's built that type of depth. I don't know that. I think the best case is like 7-5. I just think that's the best case. I don't know how they're going to beat Alabama. I don't know how they're going to beat Ohio State. I don't know how they're going to beat Oregon. And then it's just they would have to kind of, that means they don't want to be able to lose one more, like between Michigan, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota. Like it feels like they're going to lose probably 2 of those. So I could see a scenario where they do start 4-2 or even 5-1. Like I could see a scenario where they beat Michigan, like where Michigan's quarterback play is just still not great. And Michigan found themselves in a lot of low scoring, close games last year. And those types of games can always get weird. It takes one stupid thing to happen for you to win or lose those games. So I could see that happening, but from a talent perspective, they're going to be pretty outclassed against, 4 or 5 of the teams on their schedule. Yeah, I think 7-5 is about the best they're going to be able to do. Let us know what you think of Wisconsin's 2025 schedule. Is it, are we exaggerating its difficulty? I don't think we are, but are we exaggerating its difficulty? What do you think Wisconsin could generally be this year? Maybe on the positive side and the negative side. Where do you see the best and worst case scenarios? Give us your thoughts on that. But we'll be back here soon with another one. We're going to keep these rolling, all 18 teams, schedule analysis, best worst case scenarios, kind of some predictions, things like that. Hope you guys enjoy them. Thanks again for watching and listening, and we will talk to you again soon.